So you just moved to a new country as an African and you've landed a new corporate job. And you're probably wondering, how do I navigate this new environment? There's the obvious culture shock, or maybe you're an African migrant who's considering that career pivot to corporate, and you're just wondering, okay, how do I go about it, and what do I need to do, and what's it like? If that sounds like you, or what you're currently experiencing, trust me, I know exactly how you feel, and today's episode is just for you. Today, I'll be sharing 6 lessons I am learning as an African woman working in corporate Australia. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to be talking about today. On that note, hi guys, welcome to another episode of Life Lessons with Law. My name is Loretta Gerard, and on this space, I like to have open, honest, authentic, heart to heart conversations on love, life, faith, womanhood, and everything in between. So, I just like to just come on here and just share about some of the things that I am learning in this journey called life, in the hopes that it's going to, you're going to find some tips here and there, or just so that you know that you are not alone in your journey, right? And yeah, if you are listening to this podcast or watching my channel for the first time, you are most welcome. Thank you for choosing to spend this time with me. I do not take it for granted. And if you are a returning listener or a returning subscriber, thank you so much. You're practically family, and I appreciate it. So, 5 lessons I am learning as an African woman working in corporate Australia. Now, this is an interesting one for me, but before I delve into the lessons, just some quick background, just so for some of you who don't really know who I am, just to give you some context of what I'm going to share today. So I moved to Australia from Nigeria not too long ago, and I currently work in marketing. Now, one of the things that I'll tell you straight, out of the bat is that it's completely different. Like it's a completely different way of working. It's a completely different environment. It's a completely different world, and of course, it's expected because the cultures are just they're different, right? And even though I was working in marketing and in comms back in Nigeria, and I was working in a renowned non-governmental organization, and prior to that I was in the UN. So it's not like I wasn't like in the corporate world before moving to Australia. I was, but even at that, like even though I'd worked internationally back at home, moving to a new country and immersing myself and acclimatizing and getting to understand how things work in this country, in this part of the world, was it was a bit of a culture shock. So now I'm in that space where I am now trying to familiarize myself with how things work in this part of the world. And I would say that it's being quite difficult because I don't know a lot of people that are in the same shoes as I am. I don't know a lot of people that are going through what I'm going through. People who have just moved to a new country as an African migrant, working in corporate, and also going trying to find their way, trying to find their footing. So that's why I thought that, okay, I'm learning a few things. So there might be people out there who might be looking for this kind of information. So that's why I thought that I would just jump on here and share some of the things that I'm learning. So let's now dive into some of those things. Now, the first thing that I am learning about working in corporate as an African woman is that your personality matters. Yeah, your personality matters. And for someone who is coming from a background where people, as a Nigerian back home, there's a lot of premium is placed on your your academic pedigree. You know, if you have a master's degree, if you have a PhD, a lot of importance is placed on that, but not so much on personality, not so much on soft skills like your ability to relate with people, your interpersonal communication skills, your verbal communication skills, your just ability to work well with people, being approachable, being open to feedback. Those things, not a lot of importance is placed on those things back home. It's just more around the technical side of things and more around what you bring to the table in terms of what you can offer and in terms of the education that you've got or the certification that you've got. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not important in this part of the world. It is. It's just that just as much importance, if not even more importance, is placed on your personality, how people see you, how people perceive you, how you come across, right? And I've read articles where they say that, in fact, I've even been in interviews where people, they ask you questions. The way interviews are done in this part of the world is quite different. They ask you scenario-based interviews. They ask you, situation-based interview, and then they ask you questions about the things that you enjoy, what you like. And the interviews are quite conversational. And you see that they're really trying to get to know who you are as a person, and that's in the interview, they're really assessing if you're someone that they can work with, because organizations in this part of the world, they place a lot of importance on collaboration, on teamwork, on being able to gel, or being as a team, on being able to integrate into the team and work seamlessly in that team. So when you go for interviews, people are assessing your ability to engage, if they can have a conversation with you, if they can have a chit chat with you, if you're someone that they can go into the coffee room or kitchen with, and just have a chat with you, because those things matter. It matters to be able to build an environment that is thriving, an environment where there's a lot of positive energy, and people get along quite nicely. So yeah, importance is placed on your personality. And I saw a video where someone said that recruiters, especially in this part of the world, here in Australia, I can't speak much about other parts of the world, so that's why I'm speaking about here in Australia. Recruiters in this part of the world are even much more likely to go for someone who has a great personality, without 100% of the skills or 100% of the technical expertise, instead of someone who has 100% of the technical expertise, 100% of the experience that they're looking for, but has zero interpersonal skills. Right? So they're much more likely to go for a candidate that has a great personality than someone who, and the skills, than someone who has all of the skills and no personality. So yeah, and this is one thing that because, as coming from the background that I come from, being naturally introverted, it's something that I had to start learning to work on. Yeah, having that personality, being approachable, being someone that people can reach out to, being able to smile, being able to, chat and, talk and just be friendly. Doesn't mean that you have to be, smiling at every single thing, even when it's not funny you're smiling. No, not overdoing it, but, just showing up as someone that people can easily talk to is crucial, is critical in this part of the world, I've learned. Okay, now moving on to the next thing, and that's almost close to linked to what I just talked about with regards to personality and interpersonal skills. The second thing is that in this part of the world, organizations value experience over certificates. It's the it's completely different from where I'm coming from, where, as I said, a lot of importance is placed on your certificates, on how much certificates you've got, how much degrees, if you have a master's degree, if you have a PhD, if you have all of the certifications in this world. In this part of the world, much more experience and much more importance is placed on your experience. Your have you done it before? Do you have proof to show that you've worked on something before? People don't really care about your certificate. They don't really care about how much knowledge you have acquired. They care much more about how much knowledge you can apply, or how much you have been able to translate that knowledge into execution. What results did you get? What was the impact? What was the outcome? Right? So, in fact, I read somewhere that, in this part of the world, they split it into like a format. So they'll tell you that it is 70% experience, 70% learning by experience, 20% learning via mentors and your network, and people who have gone ahead of you, people who have been on the job longer than learning from those people. And then 10% learning from formal learning, like certifications and degrees and courses and things like that. I know it's amazing, and that is completely different from back home in Nigeria, back home in Africa, where people take a lot of courses, they take a lot of certifications, they take from one degree, one person can have like 5 master's degrees and 6 PhDs, and those things are great, they're good, right? But what I'm saying is that in this part of the world, not a lot of importance is placed on that. It's much more around experience, because the belief is that you learn by doing. So the more you do it, the more the more you can say that you have developed expertise at something. So yeah, that's the second lesson. Organizations value experience over certificates. Now, the third lesson that I have learned as an African woman working corporate Australia is that work-life balance is key. And it's up to you to make that work. So here, people place a lot of importance on being able to balance work and life. They take mental health quite seriously. They take stress and burnout quite seriously. So it's then up to you to define how you manage that. It doesn't mean that the work will not keep coming at you. The work will keep coming at you, but the onus lies on you to define how you work through it in a way that is not inimical to your mental health and is not damaging to the relationships that matter to you. So work-life balance is a thing. It's a thing. In fact, people take, for example, where I work, we have like a good health day where you can just take a day off to just, take care of yourself, take care of your health, So, and a lot of organizations have that where they give you maybe like a day or 2 off, just to take care of yourself, to take care of your mental health. In fact, some organizations have, they have mental health support lines that employees have access to, that they can speak to maybe a therapist or a mental health professional about things that they're going through, because those things matter. Like, people take mental health seriously in this part of the world. Organizations take mental health seriously in this part of the world. And they also take establishing like that great work-life balance important. So nobody, at least based on my experience, if you're not working like a weekend shift, or if your job doesn't involve working on weekends, nobody will expect you to work on a weekend. right? Nobody will expect you to always like constantly work outside work hours. Sometimes there might be times when, depending on the situation, depending on what is going on, you might need to work a little, you might need to work late sometimes. But when it becomes a constant, like when, if you have a good manager, when it becomes a constant and they see that you're constantly working longer hours, you will get like, people, you could get questioned like, why are you constantly working? Are you not managing your time properly? Because they expect that you should be able to manage your time effectively so you can dedicate more time to your family, to your hobbies, to the things that you care about. Just spend more time, just spend as much time, in taking care of other parts of your life, because they believe that if you do not take care of other parts of your life, the effect of that could directly impact your work life. So it's important to be able to draw that balance. The fourth lesson that I am learning as an African woman working in corporate Australia is that it is your job to promote yourself. Like, your visibility is important, and it is your job to promote yourself. It is your job to talk about what you are doing, and the impacts that you are making. Now, coming from such a culture where people don't really self-promote, because it could be regarded as you bragging, could be regarded as pride, to a culture where in order for you to grow, you have to be seen, right? It's not just about you putting your head down to work, but you have to be seen. You have to be seen. And for you to be seen, you must make yourself visible. That is your job. It is your job to make yourself visible. Nobody's going to do it for you. So whatever opportunity that comes along, you have to seize that opportunity to be visible, in order for you to grow in your career and to be seen as someone that's actually making an impact. And this is something that I am learning right now, because I'm coming from a place where where we're like, yeah, this is what I'm doing, everybody knows that's my job, there's no need to shout about it. But here, you have to promote yourself. You have to take opportunities when they come, to showcase what you're doing, to showcase the work that you're doing, so that you can be seen. Moving on, the fifth lesson, which is strongly tied to what I just mentioned about promoting yourself and to be seen, and putting yourself out there in the workplace in order to move forward in your career, in your job, is you must learn to speak. Confidence is crucial. But here, you must learn to speak, because the belief is that you're here to solve a problem, and we hired you because we believe you're able to solve this problem, right? And so you need to have something to say. Now, the reason why this, as an African, this might be difficult is because when you look at our educational system, when you look at how children are raised in the African educational system, it doesn't really give that opportunity for every child to put up their hands and share their opinion about things, right? You'll find that it's usually the loudest people that have something to, that are given opportunity to speak, or maybe the brightest people in class that are given the opportunity to speak. But when you compare that to, and of course, there's also, the respect thing, where when people ask questions or share their opinion, they could be viewed as disrespectful, or the child could be shut down as talking too much, or as being disrespectful. And so that doesn't really create in a child that curiosity, or that ability to think critically, and it doesn't create that confidence that the child needs to say, yeah, I belong here, and what I say matters. It might not be accurate, it might not be, it might not be true, like it might not be accurate, it might not be, it might not solve the problem, but the fact that I have something to say, my view matters, my opinion matters, right? But when you juxtapose that with how education is done in this part of the world, everyone from, yeah, in like in the educational system here, you are taught from from the beginning that your opinion matters. So even if what you're saying is not entirely correct, the fact that you edit, that is acknowledged, so children are taught from a very young age that you can contribute here. It's okay to share what you think matters. And so when you so now take someone from an African, educational system, and then put them in the workplace here. It takes a bit of time to adjust, because there's something that has been hardwired into you that makes it difficult. Like, you feel like you don't want to be disrespectful, you feel like probably what you have to say is not correct, or it might not be right, or it might be, it might be just waved off, or it might not be taken into consideration, or it might not just make sense. So all of those things, because of that hardwiring of your childhood, or where you're coming from, where you are taught that you have to be sure, very sure of what you're saying before you open your mouth to speak. So, but one thing I'm learning here is to understand that you're here to solve a problem. You're here to do a job. You were hired because they believe that you can do that job. So the fact that you're there means that your opinion is important, means that your views are important. You could have an idea that could, strike another idea in someone else, and then before you know it, something innovative or fresh has come up, an innovative solution has come up, and a problem becomes solved, right? But if you just keep it to your chest because you're scared of being wrong, because you're scared of your idea being tossed aside, you might be stifling the progress of not just the organization, but also, yourself as well. So but that it's difficult to learn, because you have to first of all unlearn what has been hardwired into you as an African child. But this is something that I am learning. I'm not saying that I'm an expert at this. Like I said, I'm still learning it. Many times it's hard. Many times I still have, those thoughts at the back of my mind where I'm like, oh, I don't know if what I'm going to say is going to make sense. Or I don't know if, but yeah, this is something that I'm learning. I am trying to push myself to get past. Okay, so final point as we wrap up. The sixth lesson that I am learning as an African woman working in corporate Australia is that non-verbal communication matters. Non-verbal communication matters. Like, typically when we think about communication, we think about right, your written communication, your verbal communication. We don't really think about the non-verbal cues, the non-verbal communication. But in this part of the world, people really pay attention to non-verbal cues, I've learned. And this is something that I am learning to work on. So for example, sometimes you might be speaking, or you might be maybe not even speaking, or maybe you might be in a group or in a meeting, and then your arms are like folded, or just wrapped around you like this. This could communicate that it could communicate that you're just locked up, just shelled in, sort of. Another example is when you're talking with someone and you don't look into their eyes. That could be seen as disrespectful in this part of the world. Whereas in Nigeria, in Africa, where I come from, looking into people's eyes is a sign of, disrespect, especially if that person is older than you. right? But here it's a sign of confidence, it's a sign of you taking that person seriously and you listening and paying attention. So when someone is speaking to you and you're looking into their eyes, like you're making eye contact, it shows that you are listening, it shows that you're paying attention. And maybe as the person is speaking, like you're nodding, right? It shows that you're there, you're present, and you're what the person is saying, you're in that space with that person and you're paying keen attention to what they have to say. Like when people are speaking with you, I've found, especially like even during interviews, like when you're talking, they're paying attention to your nonverbal cues. So you could be saying one thing and then your body language is saying something else. Right? And people are watching your body language. People actually pay attention to your body language. They pay attention to how your eyebrows arc as you speak and how you move your hands. Sometimes when you're talking and you're moving your hands like I am, it shows that you are confident, it shows that you're passionate about what you're saying, it shows that you care about what you're saying, it shows that you're really trying to effectively articulate your thoughts. So these things matter, and it's something that we, especially as an African migrant working in corporate, that we have to learn. It's something that we have to gain mastery of because it's important. Communication is not just about what you say, it's also about what you don't say, what your body says, right? And these things matter in the corporate world. So yeah, these are just some of the things that I feel are the key things that I am learning as an African woman, African migrant working in corporate in Australia. And I hope you found them helpful and insightful. I just thought to share because I just felt like sometimes it's hard to find someone who's probably walking in the same shoes as you are. And usually when I do these videos is because I just so that at least one person out there understands that they are not alone in their walk. And if they can relate to my story, or if they can relate to the things that I have to share and some of the lessons that I am learning in those areas of my life, I'm thankful, right? So if you know anyone that might find this helpful or might find this insightful, please do well to share it with them. Like just so that they know that they are not alone, and just so that maybe they can learn a thing or two. They can take away a thing or two from the things that I have shared so far. This space is all about learning and growing, just growing together and learning together. I'm not an expert, at these things that I share. These are just things that I'm learning, that I'm picking up in my journey, and I just share them as I go, right? So it's the journey. It's not about perfection. It's about progress, and that's what this episode is about. That's what I like to share about. Progress, just making progress, being a better version of yourself, taking every opportunity to be better for yourself every single day. And that's what I'm committed to seeing. I'm just committed to seeing you grow. I'm committed to seeing you becoming a better version of yourself every single day. So I'm not coming to you as an expert. I'm coming to you as someone who's also on this journey with you. Just sharing what I am learning in the hopes that you can learn a thing or two and we can grow together. All right. On that note, we've come to the end of this episode. I hope you found it helpful. If you enjoyed watching this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe to the channel. I try to share on here at least once a month. It's difficult, and I'll try to be much more consistent sharing the video and sharing the podcast. It can be really tough when you juggle it with other life commitments, but yeah, I'm growing, learning. So if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, please like it, and please subscribe. Please follow the podcast and share it with the people that you love. Share it with people you think would benefit from listening to the things that I have talked about. And yeah, I'm really open. Just if you enjoyed it, please, leave a comment. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment, let me know. If you're an African woman, African migrant working in corporate in Australia, or maybe even any other part of the world, any part, maybe any other Western countries, just leave a comment. Let me know, what are the things that you have learned? What are the things that have helped you navigate your career? I'm really curious. I really want to know. Just so that I can learn from you as well, and other people watching this can learn as well. Thank you. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you in my next video. I'll see you in my next episode. Bye.